Hi, and thanks for stopping by. If you're looking for an above average return on your capital, investing in a proven 15-year-old patented technology that has absolutely zero competition and can eliminate pain and injury 80 to 90% faster than traditional medical rehab, listen up, because this truly is an opportunity unlike any other. The name of our program is the Passive Medical Revenue Program, and the name of our technology is the patented and proprietary ARP Wave System. So what is the core, the foundation of what we do? Well, where everyone else treats the pain where it ended up, we treat the neurological origin of what caused it in the first place. If you treat the neurological origin, you eliminate the physiological symptom. So what is the ARP Wave System, and what exactly does it do, and why do the world's most elite professional athletes trust their multi-million-dollar careers to us? The ARP Wave System is a patented, FDA-authorized medical device that can diagnose the origin of what is causing soft tissue pain and injury, and in the process, eliminate the symptom 60 to 80% faster than traditional therapy. Well, how do we do that? We combine direct current with a high-frequency double exponential waveform that is harmonious to the body, allowing the doctor to locate the scar tissue, or what we call a neurological disconnect, without the impedance of fatty tissue or muscle causing harm to the patient. E-stim, laser, ultrasound, Graston, physical therapy, etc. cannot diagnose and eliminate the symptom permanently. They can only guess. Having the ability to pinpoint this neurological disconnect allows us to now use the ARP Wave System to treat the patient with active movement, therefore breaking down this scar tissue, and in the process allowing the muscles to lengthen and take the force off the injured area back to where they belong, the supporting muscles. And more importantly, we eliminate the compensation patterns that cause this in the first place. Traditional injury therapy would take anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, and the problem would still be at the origin. Nothing would have been solved. ARP Wave, however, we can have the patient back pain-free and injury-free in as little as 10 to 14 days. After this treatment, the patient is now stronger and faster than before the injury because we eliminated the origin of what was causing it rather than guessing and simply treating where it ended up, like all other therapies you see out there today. This is a reason we have more than 600 plus NFL players and 2,000 of the world's most elite professional athletes as clients, because we get results fast. At the end of the 20 sessions, the patient is now pain-free, symptom-free, and more importantly, moving again in correct neurological form. Most importantly, however, is the patient is back 60 to 80% faster than traditional treatments. No other medical modality or therapy can replicate this success. So who is ARP Wave? Well, ARP Wave is a 15-year-old privately owned company based out of Apple Valley, Minnesota. Annual revenues exceed $15 million and margins are better than 35%. The company was founded by Dennis Thompson, CEO, and Jay Schroeder, president. ARP Wave is the outright owner of the ARP Wave System and proprietary protocols, and ARP Wave System has treated more than 100,000 patients with a better than 95% track record of success. So who is Astra Group? Well, we're a 3-year-old Dallas-based sports medical and performance company. We currently own or co-own 4 ARP Wave clinics ourselves throughout the U.S. and are a master distributor for the ARP Wave System, as well as creator and facilitator of the Passive Medical Revenue Program. We've created numerous marketing programs, websites, and marketing collateral to assist the doctors in expanding the ARP Wave business. To date, we have successfully helped 40-plus medical facilities launch the ARP Wave System. We have perfected how to train and rapidly open an ARP Wave facility, but more than that, have put together a marketing blueprint that will help doctors generate revenue and procure patients quickly in their first 21 days. Their success is our success. Why traditional pain management and rehab is ineffective? Well, we are an electrical being run by a nervous system. And like a car, our muscles act as shock absorbers. The nervous system turns these shock absorbers on to create and absorb force. If you fail to repair your car's shocks, eventually you ruin the car frame. If you fail to repair your shocks, eventually you will ruin your frame. It's as simple as that. This is a neurological issue, not a physiological issue. Unfortunately, medicine today treats us physiologically, and afterwards, the patient is still symptomatic, and the physiological problem will reappear again and again and again. You see, if you fail to treat the origin, how can you ever heal the symptom? You can't. And this is the main reason why most of us live in chronic pain all of our lives, because the origin is never addressed. And PTs and docs haven't had the tool to effectively treat this origin until now. Okay, so having said all that, let's address what actually causes pain and injury. Well, when a person attempts to perform any movement, a signal from the brain is sent to that supporting muscle or muscles to absorb the appropriate force. Again, this is a neurological function, not a physical one. The neurological signal to turn on the muscles is impeded due to scar tissue. This force is then sent to a secondary location to absorb this load, notably an area of the body not meant to absorb force. This vicious cycle continues until the repetition causes the area to break down, the supporting muscle or muscles and ligaments to tear, or inflammation becomes so extreme the person seeks medical treatment. Until the origin of the cause is treated and the muscles can absorb the force like they were meant to do, all the rehab, strength training, ice, heat, rest, and therapy in the world is useless. Remember, we are an electrical being run by a nervous system. If that muscle cannot turn on fast enough neurologically to absorb the force, that force will continue to be sent to the areas of the body not meant to absorb force. This has to be treated neurologically, not physiologically. Now, we have talked about what causes pain and injury and why traditional sports medical rehab is ineffective. Let's now talk about the ARP Wave system and why it is rapidly becoming the answer for pain and injury elimination worldwide. Using this powerful, proven system of neurological soft tissue rehabilitation to get out of pain is a three-step process. The first step is what we aptly call search and destroy. We're going to find the origin of the symptom and eliminate it. First thing we do is have the patient perform a movement that is causing them pain. We need this for before and after so they can feel and witness the results firsthand instantly. How do we do this? We do this by scanning the area of the injury to find the neurological origin or the neurological disconnect. It is never where the problem ended up. You see, the wave will go through healthy tissue. It'll stop at scar tissue and inflammation, and when it does, we know that is the origin of what is causing the problem. Once we find the first location, we scan again to find its connection, and when we do, we begin the treatment. Next, we have them perform the proprietary protocol at 4 levels of intensity for that specific injury. At the end of the first session, pain level will be 25% less and range of motion 25% greater. But I'll tell you here and now that after conducting hundreds of initial treatments, the response is amazing. Kids looking at their parents saying, "Mom, Dad, I don't feel any pain." Or a spouse looking at their companion and stating, "This is the first time in 20 years I felt this great." At that point, the system sells itself. At the end of the 4th search and destroy session, patient pain level is at 0 or close to 0, and they experience a vast increase in range of motion. Why? Simple. Because in the case of a knee, for example, the muscles that were not turning on fast enough to absorb the force are now firing properly. So when that person moves, the neurological signal gets through, and is not impeded by scar tissue, and therefore the muscles now lengthen, taking the load off the knee and back to the shock absorbers, if you will, transferring the force and eliminating the pain in the knee. With the knee no longer having this force, think how fast it will heal. Step 2 of this 20-session treatment is what we call force absorption. This is where we switch gears and protocols and now build the muscle's ability back up to create and absorb force. In sessions 5 through 10, we take the patient through protocols to build up that muscle's ability to absorb the force. In sessions 1 through 4, in Search and Destroy, we got them out of pain and cleared up the scar tissue. Now, we're going to get them back on the field or back to work doing what they want to do, pain-free. So, at the end of sessions 5 through 10, we're going to have the patient do a movement at half speed for 10 reps or jogs until a pain level of 3 is hit. If pain threshold not hit, they conduct the movement at full speed and max effort until pain level of 3, then they would stop. Each session feeds off the last, and patient will stop at session 10 because of exhaustion, not because of pain. At which point, we now know that the muscles are absorbing the load and firing properly, and they're cleared to play. Some of our top athletes, NFL, NHL, etc., will do sessions 1 through 10 twice a day and be back on the field in under a week, stronger and faster than before the injury. Amazing, but true. So let's illustrate the outcome of ARP wave therapy using a knee treatment as example. Now, prior to the ARP wave therapy, the signal from the brain to turn on the appropriate muscles to absorb force were impeded by scar tissue, and therefore this force was continuously rerouted to the knees, which were never meant to absorb continuous force. If you're in pain right now, whether it's your knee, back, hip, shoulder, etc., this is the exact same scenario that is happening to you. Now, after ARP wave therapy, however, with the scar tissue cleaned up and the neurological signal able to get through, the shock absorbers are firing properly, are able to absorb force for much, much, much longer periods of time, and most importantly, with no pain and full range of motion. This cannot be accomplished through physical therapy, strength training, laser, ultrasound, E-stim, ART, Graston, etc. This is a neurological issue, not a physiological issue, and why we have a 95% plus track record of success. But the best moment, however, is at the end of the 10th session when that parent, player, or individual looks at you and says, "I want to thank you because nothing else worked, and I'm amazed at how fast you got me back. I can't believe that not every doctor or sports team doesn't have this. That makes absolutely no sense to me. If I had $1 for every time I heard that, I could retire for life." That's the power of what we do. Now, before we move on, I want to address 3 questions we always get asked by doctors and patients alike. The first is, how is the patient out of pain? Well, very simple. As we discussed on the previous slide, the signal for the muscles to absorb force for that specific region are no longer impeded by scar tissue, and more importantly, we have retrained them neurologically to move correctly again. Second question we get is, well, why couldn't I strengthen the muscles? Wouldn't that make the muscles stronger? Well, of course it would, but size, speed, and strength have absolutely nothing to do with preventing injury. If a muscle does not turn on fast enough, no amount of physical therapy or strength training in the world will prevent injury. It's strictly neurological. And lastly, we always get asked, well, how long will this last? Well, it's permanent. Compensatory actions that help cause this injury in the first place, moving incorrectly to stay out of pain, have been broken by re-educating the correct movement neurologically at 500 times per second on the ARP wave device. Now that the force has been transferred out of the problem area and the patient's moving correctly, this pain relief is permanent. Finally, step 3 is what we call neuro strength training, where in the final 10 sessions, we neurologically strengthen those muscles we just treated. And at the culmination of these 20 sessions, the patient is asymptomatic and the muscles firing like they were intended to do and strengthened back to before the injury. Does the ARP wave work? Well, you decide. Meet Dwight Freeney, NFL All-Pro defensive end. He suffered a grade 3 ankle sprain and 3 torn ligaments in the AFC Championship game in 2009 against the Steelers. Was told he'd be out 12 to 15 weeks and would definitely miss the Super Bowl in 14 days. Well, he got on the ARP 12 days before the Super Bowl, and Super Bowl Sunday, he was cleared to play. The MRI showed complete healing, even recording a sack in the big game. Meet Ty Sullivan, Tommy John surgery candidate, who had a partial tear on his UCL. Well, before the ARP session, he had a pain level of 7 and could throw no harder than 78 miles an hour on the radar gun. After the first session, he had 0 pain, hit 89 miles per hour on the radar gun, which was an 11 mile per hour increase in less than 20 minutes. How many major leaguers would love these results? He did 20 sessions on the ARP. He's now pain-free and Tommy John surgery avoided. But our track record of success is extremely diverse, reaching all sports, both current and past athletes. To date, we proudly count the following ARP Wave clients: 600 plus NFL players, 250 NHL players, 200 plus NBA players, 100 plus Major League Baseball players, NCAA athletes on many levels, the Barclays Premier League, the PGA Tour and pro tennis, not to mention thousands more amateur and high school athletes throughout North America. Now I'd like to take a few moments as you read some recent praise and testimonials on our rapid recovery results. So let's talk about the explosive growth opportunities that exist with the ARP Wave technology. While there are hundreds of different avenues in which to generate revenue with our patented technology, none has been more prevalent in the news recently than the Tommy John surgery epidemic sweeping America. It has made front page headlines many times over the past 12 to 18 months in these news media outlets and thousands more like them, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. The American Sports Medicine Institute has stated that from 2004 to 2011, Tommy John surgeries have increased 20% each and every year. 20%. That's a huge epidemic any way you look at it, and it shows no signs of slowing down. However, the ARP Wave system has developed a protocol that virtually eliminates the need for Tommy John surgery in 95% of the cases we have seen. Fox 4 Dallas even ran a feature story on Dallas Peak Performance and Rehab, one of the top ARP Wave clinics in the United States, interviewing clients and stating that this could be the alternative for pitchers everywhere whose seasons or even careers might be in jeopardy. The Boston Globe featured the story as well. Now, so let's talk financial numbers on just how big this could be for a clinic that only did the Tommy John surgery elimination program. Using Dallas Peak Performance as an example, they have stated that in a super slow month, they still did 4 Tommy John treatments. So using this conservative figure, multiply that by $2,500 per 20 session package. That's $10,000 per month and $120,000 a year in new revenue. 4 treatments a month. That's it. Going after an epidemic that's growing 20% per year. How many doctors' offices, large or small, would welcome an additional $120,000 in new cash revenue? The list is endless. But it's not just the Tommy John surgery elimination program. There is so much more untapped, explosive growth. High school and college football, baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis, lacrosse, track and field, ice hockey, and so much more. Landing one school or league alone will drive enough referrals that will keep one ARP system going from morning to night. I mean, what parent or coach is not going to want proven injury prevention and rapid rehabilitation available to their players? What parent or coach is not going to want a tool that not only has proven time and again to save seasons, but careers? But the elephant in the room, the low-hanging fruit, is golf. 26 million golfers spent $76 billion in 2013 alone. Ask yourself, how many of them would spend the money for a therapy that would eliminate back and leg soreness permanently, allowing them to play more holes and drive the ball further? If a clinic only focused on golfers, the revenue stream would be substantial. Needless to say, the growth potential for an ARP Wave clinic is enormous, with absolutely zero competition to our technology. Now, I would like to talk about how Astor Group and ARP Wave intend on tapping these explosive growth opportunities through our passive medical revenue program. Under the current business model, the doctor pays $23,000 for a commercial license, allowing them to sell the treatments commercially. Using a strictly cash model, the doctor earns $2,500 per treatment. And based on our extensive track record, patients have no problem paying this, especially with the fact that we're getting them out of pain permanently without drugs. Just important is that their deductible in most cases is higher than that in the first place. Each session is approximately 15 minutes on the ARP Wave device, and the doctor pays Astor Group $1 per minute or $300 for 20 sessions for the continued support and use of the proprietary protocols. Doctor nets $2,200 or $220 per hour, taking the fact that each session's 30 minutes tops times 20 sessions equals 10 hours total or $220 per hour. So what are the revenue expectations for a typical ARP Wave clinic? Using a very, very conservative revenue figure of only 5 new patients a month, that's $12,500 in new revenue. And using a more realistic figure of 8 plus a month, you're looking at $20,000 or more per month in new revenue. That's $150,000 on the low end to almost $250,000 additional new revenue per year for a clinic that brings in the ARP Wave system. But more than just giving the medical community a proven new revenue stream, we're accomplishing 2 of our major objectives. 1, help more people get out of pain without harmful drugs, an objective that's going to have a major positive impact on a lot of folks' decisions to do our therapy. And 2, provide a new revenue stream to the medical community under a model that eliminates the need for chasing insurance companies for reimbursements. The more we help the docs and patients get what they want, the more we all benefit. So let's talk about how the PMRP, the Passive Medical Revenue Program, works. The investor allocates a minimum of $92,000, which allows them to acquire 4 ARP Wave commercial licenses. Astor Group then places these systems in high traffic, credit-worthy medical facilities at no expense to the doctor. ARP Wave immediately provides training to the staff, while Astor Group immediately supplies marketing launch advice and support to drive new business, in addition to assisting the docs in their back office setup. Lastly, the doctor agrees to split this revenue 50-50 with the investor. Using very conservative revenue projections, we came up with the following. A medical facility sells only 3 packages a month, equaling $7,500. Now, some clinics do this in a day, most certainly do this in a week, and then some. Okay, now you back out the minutes of $300 per 20 session package, which takes $1 per minute times 15 minutes per treatment times 20 sessions, and multiply that by the 3 packages, equating to $900. Factor out the $30 per hour, 10 hours total, which is arrived at 20 sessions times 30 minutes each, equating to 10 hours. Multiplied by the 3 packages equals $900, leaving a gross profit for that month of $5,700. 50% to the investor is $2,850 per month, or $11,400 total return prior to the 4-month buyout. So let's explain the buyout revenue projections. Based on the last 3 years alone, doctors that were in this model eventually saw the value of owning it outright rather than continuing to split the revenue. It was better to pay the $23,000 than to continue to give 50% away. Now, initially, they wanted to see the ARP Wave in action without taking this financial risk. But once they saw the power of the ARP Wave, they were impressed and wanted this revenue all to themselves, typically after 4 months. If they kept it longer, well, more money for everyone. But typically after 4 months, they wanted full ownership. So in this case here, they will pay Astra $23,000 for the commercial license. Investor receives full recoupment, which is $23,000 from the sale minus the $11,400 he or she has already received, meaning we disperse $11,600 of these proceeds back to the investor. In addition to that, we give the investor a 10% preferred return and take 10% of the net profit of the $11,400 and disperse it to them. This leaves a balance of $10,260, which Astra and the investor split 50-50. Taking into account the preferred return and this split, this is $6,270 to the investor. Calculating this up, that comes out to a 27.2% return on invested capital in only a 4-month window, using very, very conservative real-world numbers. Annualized, that's an 81.7% return on invested capital. And of course, the longer the doctor keeps the ARP Wave, the bigger the return. Again, these returns are taken from historical data from the many licensees currently using the system. So, what are the risk factors? Well, slow sales or no sales at the facility would be one. However, we will install sales benchmarks day one. If they fail to hit them, Astra immediately places the system in another medical facility. Second risk factor would be underreporting by the doctor. However, this is easily rectified as we are able to track the exact minutes usage. Excess usage with combined slow sales trigger a red flag and audit. We then immediately rectify with the doctor. Okay, let's wrap up by talking about the benefits of this program. First, it's a recurring revenue model that is fully collateralized. We have an extensive, diverse client base in a growing segment, which is sports medical rehab. With our patented technology and protocols, we have an impenetrable long-term competitive advantage. No one can replicate what we do. Why? Because our technology, again, is patented and proprietary. We don't have to deal with government or insurance reimbursements, which means no waiting for money ever. Minimal government oversight, and best of all, predictable above average returns. You combine this with our track record of 15 years, 100,000 plus patients with a better than 95% success rate, and having the world's most elite professional athletes trusting their multi-million-dollar careers to us, this program is in a class by itself. What are the next steps? Well, number one, review and execute the investor agreement. 2, Astra then places the ARP systems in a high-end, credit-worthy medical practice. ARP and Astra then set up the training and ongoing support mechanisms, and finally, you start receiving an above-average return on your capital. To get started or to ask further questions, contact Mark McClure at 888-233-1623 extension 1 or email him at mark@astrallc.com. Thanks for taking the time today. I hope we can do business together.